first time the baby monitor caught them, it didn't even belong to us. The clip flashed on my phone at 4:17 a.m. because the cabin's owner had shared the cloud link months ago when a bear kept raiding their trash. I was meant to watch for wildlife near the porch. Instead, I watched a shape cross a room with floor-to-ceiling windows where a sun was about to rise. The shape moved like my partner. The text from Ivy came a minute later. Almost dawn. Staying to style the pillows for light. Don't wait up! The same light spilled over a stranger's bourbon glasses on the coffee table and a pair of tire chains leaning by the door. I'm Mason, 40, park ranger out of Asheville, Blue Ridge District. In our house, we measure time by trail seasons, spring showers that bring rhododendrons, summer thunder that sends tourists scurrying, a fall so loud with color you forget to breathe, winter mornings that turn the parkway into a ribbon of glass. I walk timber stands and count salamanders after rain. I tell people to put their dogs on leashes, and on the bad days, I help the sheriff's office find someone who meant to be back by afternoon. Ivy stages mountain rentals. She has an eye. She'll toss a wool throw across a bench and somehow make it look like morning forgot to make the bed on purpose. The listings call her a sunrise specialist. She laughs every time but also saves the screenshots. In the last year, she started staying before dawn to manage light in the photos. She said dawn comes with a checklist: wipe the glass, fluff the pillows, set the mugs where the first gold catches them. She met a contractor named Austin who saved money on wood and glass and had the kind of truck that makes men in breweries nod and the kind of smile that says he knows it. That clip wasn't the first small stone in my shoe, it was the one that got under the bone. The others were easy to wave off. A set of heavy crystal tumblers in her cargo bin when we never drink neat at home. A text she sent and then unsent. Leave the fob under the flat stone by the step, followed by, sorry, wrong client, and a winky face like that made it a joke. Her watch showing a spike at 3:07 a.m. that she said was lugging quilts up a ladder, and me picturing the ladder and the quilts and the way her hand shook when she put the watch down later. We live in a small rental off Brevard Road with a pebbled driveway that coats the car in dust by June. Our daughter's 6. Her name is Wren because Ivy fell in love with a bird on a mug at Mass General when she was pregnant, and everything in the store made her cry. I don't like making a big mess in front of a child, and I was raised by a man who said, don't bring feelings to the breakfast table if you can't put them back in the cupboard before school. So for a while, I made small talk while swallowing gravel. But the morning the baby monitor lit up the inside of my skull, I stopped pretending the rocks in my mouth were food. Ivy came home blinking like she'd been looking into the sun for too long. We nailed it, she said, breezing past me to the sink to fill a vase. The way the glass holds the dawn at that place is insane. You should see the deck. Feels like you could step straight into clouds. Which place? I asked. I kept my voice as steady as I do on a radio when I've got an ankle-deep creek and a kid crying on the other end. New build-up by Craggy, she said. The owners are in Florida. Austin was doing last-minute sealant, so I stayed to make sure the rugs didn't get dusty. Left him the fob while I ran for coffee. Her phone buzzed. She glanced. Her face didn't change, but her shoulders did, a tiny flinch like a bird tucking a wing. He's dropping off reclaimed boards at a place in Barnardsville. You working today? Late shift, I said. Trailhead at Looking Glass. Okay, she said. Love you. The words fell like pebbles into a deep well. I wanted to hear the splash. I wanted to hear anything. That afternoon, I checked the shared folder called Cabin Wildlife. It timestamps movement. No bears, no raccoons, just people-smooth shapes moving across a room with a wall of glass. At 3:02 a.m., 2 figures, one tall, one my size. At 3:05, the tall one went to the kitchen and lifted a heavy bottle by its neck. At 3:07, the heart rate of a watch on my nightstand at home showed a spike from 71 to 130 because Ivy left it charging and wore the old one she keeps for staging. I didn't know that until later. At 3,000 nen, the taller shape set 2 glasses on the coffee table and pointed at the windows like he had made the sunrise himself. There's a spot in my park where you can stand on the rock and the world looks like it turns under your feet. That's how my chest felt. Not like I was falling, like the whole mountain had started to roll and I was just a tree that didn't know what to do with its roots. I went to work and gave out maps with a smile. I told a man in a brand new jacket that if he kept feeding the deer peanuts, he'd deserve the nip he was about to get. I told myself I could live on that kind of order forever. Ben found me by the ice machine at the ranger station. He's been a ranger 20 years and drinks coffee like a car sips diesel. He looked me over like you look over an ankle sprain. You okay, Mason? he asked. My partner stays before dawn, I said. Not a question, a fact stuck on my tongue like a burr. He took a slow breath. Dawn's when photos are best, he said, neutral on purpose. Her watch hit 1:30 at 3 a.m. last night, I said. She says it's quilts and ladders. Austin's text about a fob under a rock, heavy glasses in the truck. He's got chains on his back seat in June. Chains mean he goes places he shouldn't, Ben said, with the quiet authority of a man who has cut too many cars off washed-out roads. Yeah, I said. Chains mean you plan to be somewhere when the road doesn't want you. He leaned against the ice machine, glanced left and right, then said, What do you need? Clarity, I said. In 4 letters if possible. Does yelling get you clarity? He said. No. Does drinking? I shook my head. Then do what you do in a search, he said. Grid, mark what you know. Don't make up the footprints you can't see. It sounds like a line from a pamphlet until you're the one about to go stomping through rhododendron with your heart in your teeth. I went home and did a ranger thing to my own life. I made a map. The chat with Austin wasn't on my phone. It was on hers. She's not careless, but habit drifts. The text preview on her iPad lit up while she was in the shower. I didn't pry it open. I didn't need to. Flat rock under the step. Keep the fob dry in a Ziploc. If anyone asks, you had to check light. A minute later, Lowell, we're fine. I'd breathed through my nose and walked onto the porch and looked at the ridge and out past it where the sky goes soft at the edges at night. The fob under a rock thing bothered me like a splinter you can't reach. Most project sites use lockboxes. Owners like the illusion of control. Fobs don't feel like a lockbox. They feel like a secret. The next morning, I had a talk with a woman named Marlene outside a Food Lion in Black Mountain. She was lugging a box of diapers and a baby chair to her truck. I recognized her from an email thread with the cabin owners. My mom can swing by with the high chair if you can leave the key under the mat. She caught me staring the way moms do when a stranger looks at baby gear. You need something? She asked, wary but not unkind. I help with the park, I said, flashing my badge like a human reset button. I also help with wildlife cams for rentals when bears get interested in trash. You're the one with the baby monitor clip from last night. Her face changed in a way that made me feel mean. She set the box down, rubbed the spot between her eyes. Lord, I knew that was going to be something, she said. I thought I was losing it. My daughter and her husband are in Tampa. This is their dream cabin. They gave me the baby monitor access so I could drop the high chair and check the nursery camera. I saw movement in the living room at 3. I figured it was a cleaner. But the way the man moved, too comfortable. Who are you? I startled at the question like a bird. The right answer is almost always the plain one. I'm with the Ranger Service, I said. I'm also the partner of the stager, Ivy. Her mouth made a small O. She opened it, closed it, then said, I saw a woman. She had a braid. She moved a vase and then sat. She paused. Son, I don't know your life, but that man wasn't a cleaner. I nodded like my neck hurt. Do you know who left the fob? I asked. Which fob? I told her about the rock. She took a breath. My son-in-law gave keys to the builder. The builder passed them to a foreman last winter while they were dealing with a busted window. You know how it goes. Everybody trusts everybody because we all live here, but fobs aren't like keys. You can keep a copy. You can walk into a room like you belong there. If someone has kept one from another job, then you can make a sunrise wherever you want, I said. She looked at me long and flat like a pond right before summer explodes it with frogs. Do you think your partner knew that? She asked. I think she knew how the white hits the glass, I said. I don't know what else she let in. Marlene put her hand on my sleeve. The gesture about broke me. If this turns into something ugly, she said, no, this isn't on you. That's the devil of lies. They make good men think they're the ones that did wrong. I stood in the parking lot and let a stranger's kindness hold me up. That's not a sentence I would have said out loud 10 years ago. When you spend your days telling people where not to step, your pride gets opinionated. I didn't confront Ivy then. I went to work. I wrote down dates and times like I was filing a trail report. Watch spike at 3007 a.m. Photo of fob text. The baby monitor clip timestamp. The heavy crystal tumblers from the back of her SUV placed on the coffee table in that cabin, clear as the glass they were made of. The problem with proof is that you think it will feel like a warm coat. It felt like holding a bag of gravel with a hole in it. That night, Ivy came home with the kind of smile that wants you to look at it instead of the room. Guess who got a mention in a listing, she said, tossing me her phone. They called me our sunset and sunrise magic maker. Sunrise, I said. Right. She put the phone down and came close. "Hey, what is going on with you, mountain man?" "Who has the fob to Craggy Ridge View?" I said. "You or Austin?" Her mouth twitched. "We both do. It's a team thing, logistics. He's in and out. I'm in and out." "Marlene saw two people in the living room at 3 a.m., I said. "Her son-in-law's place. Your listing." Her eyes flicked a fraction left like she was checking a mirror. "Marlene is sweet," she said carefully. "And also a light sleeper who sees a moth and thinks it's a bat." "I saw the clip," I said. "You what?" she snapped, the sweetness dropping out of her voice. "She shared it months ago when a bear came by. We set alerts for wildlife. It caught people last night instead." "Privacy laws are a thing," she said. "You cannot." "You were staging," I said, "at 3 a.m. "That's when the house is quiet," she said, too fast. "It's the only time light isn't polluted by headlights." "Whose glasses?" I asked. "On the coffee table." She looked at me like I had taken her job and turned it into an interrogation. "I brought props," she said. "You've seen me do it 100 times. Cups, mugs, glasses so the line of the table makes sense in the frame." "And the chains?" "What chains?" "In your back seat." She made a soft, disgusted noise. "Oh my God, Mason, we live in the mountains. It rains. It sleets. You carry chains so you don't end up a viral video for the wrong reason. Why did your heart hit 130 at 3:07? "Stairs," she said. "Hydration, coffee. I don't know. Are you my cardiologist now?" "Who poured the whiskey?" She stared at me with a look I had never seen before. It was a shade past fury into something like pity. "You do know you sound crazy, right?" she said. "Like a man who thinks mattresses talk." I kept my voice low, the way you do around a nest you're not sure is empty. "I think we can make this easy," I said. "The owners have the clip. They can pull access logs. Fobs leave a trail. We're going to see who used what, when." "We?" she said. "You live with a ranger," I said. "We don't love mysteries where kids could sleep." "How dare you," she said, voice dropping. "You stand there in your park green shirt and act like I'm a hiker who ignored a sign. I work, I hustle, I make dead rooms look like mornings. That's my gift. Not everyone can do what you do with a shovel and a radio. Not everyone wants to. You think because you count birds and carry first aid that makes you good, like morally tall." "I think good doesn't need a fob under a rock at 3 a.m., I said. She turned away like my words were wind she could step out of. "I'm going to shower," she said. "Then I'm going to call a photographer and talk about tomorrow's job. You can sit here and measure my pulse with your eyes if you want." She left me in a kitchen that smelled like coffee grounds and pine cleaner. I sat down at the table and laced my fingers and told myself to breathe through the part that wanted to walk out and into a bar. The next day, Marlene called. "You should come to the open house," she said. 3 o'clock. He's bringing a screen." "Who is he?" I asked, though I knew. "My son-in-law," she said. "He's got a point to make." "I don't want blood," I said. "Neither do I," she said. "Sometimes facts bleed by themselves." At noon, I drove out past the parkway toward a cabin that wasn't mine, wasn't hers, wasn't anyone's for more than a night at a time. The contractor's truck was there already, mud in the treads even though the road was bone dry. A bag of Ziploc sat in the front seat, open. A small thing, but small things are what trails are made of. Austin stood on the deck with a cup like he was selling coffee by the sunrise. He had that builder look, hands nicked, tan where sleeves end, a beard that solves more problems than it causes. He saw me and smiled like we'd already joked about something. "Hey man," he said, "Ivy's inside working miracles." "We're gonna need those fobs back," I said. He laughed. "You a comedian?" "Builder fobs shouldn't be out in the wild," I said. "Owners like to know their nests are empty when they sleep." He sipped like he had just heard a weather report he didn't respect. "You a cop?" he asked. "Ranger," I said. "So trees," he said, and smiled again, a little less friendly. "Keys," I said, "and pregnancies, and drunk guys on cliffs." I let the last one sit. Something moved behind his eyes that wasn't charm. He set the cup down. "This is between me and my clients," he said. "The clients whose mother has the baby monitor?" I said. "It caught you making shadows of yourself at 3. He stepped closer. He had that smell I hate on men, clean shirt and old whiskey. "You're out of your lane," he said softly. "Go count salamanders." "My lane is keeping people safe on land we share," I said. "Sometimes that's telling a man with a big truck to not park on the grass. Sometimes it's reminding him that the fob in his pocket gets him into living rooms where children will sleep." He stared at me in the way predators assess distance. And then Ivy came to the doorway, a throw pillow in her hands like a white flag that didn't know it was won. Hey, she said. What's going on? Her eyes flicked between us. We're on a clock. Your boyfriend wants my keys, Austin said, amused. Give him the spare, she said, too quick. Then, to me, we'll turn them in at the open house. The owner can program new ones if his mama freaks out. His mama is allowed, I said. She's the reason the clip exists. Ivy's mouth went flat. This is ridiculous, she said. You're making it weird. Walk it back from weird and look at wrong, I said. Austin chuckled. You two sound like a church with no music. Give him the fobs, Ivy snapped at him. Now! He watched her for a beat. Something passed there that I had seen between them in the smallest of ways, how he never leaned when she spoke, how she bent toward whatever he said like the words had gravity. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a fob that wasn't labeled, and tossed it toward me. It landed in my palm and felt like a lie you could plug into a door. Happy? He said. No, I said, but I'm less sad. Ivy set the pillow down like it had burned her fingers. We have to work, she said. You can go write me up in your notebook later. I don't write people up, I said. I draw maps. You're off mine until you want to stand on a trail and point in the same direction. Get out, she said, low and vicious, the way people speak in libraries when they want to scream. I left. Sometimes the only power you have is to not play. I drove back down the gravel road with the fob in my pocket and the weight of it tugging like a fish. I parked at the trailhead where we do our picnic days and sat in the truck until I could hear my own breath. I called Ben. It's going to blow, I said. Good, he said. Then you'll see what's left standing. At 3, the open house looked like a magazine-spread charcuterie on a slab of wood, sparkling water sweating into a tray, a screen rolled out against the living room wall, a handful of agents, neighbors, 2 curious couples. Marlene stood near the stairs with a baby on her hip and eyes that had decided something. The owner, her son-in-law Matt, has the posture of a man who writes checks with steady hands. He tapped the screen to wake it. The room dimmed. The wall of glass behind him turned the people in it into silhouettes. I want to show you our sunrise, he said, voice pleasant, and hit play. The clip wasn't cinematic. It was flat, black and white, and jitter from a wide-angle lens mounted under an eave. But you didn't need a director to see a man walk in like he wasn't worried about alarms. You didn't need dialogue to see a woman step to the windows and tilt her face toward what she thought was a private morning. You didn't need sound to watch him pour 2 heavy fingers of something into good glasses and set them on the table by a stack of folded throws and a book turned to the page where people like to pretend they stopped reading. No one spoke. The only sound was the baby making a little fizzing noise on a bottle. Matt didn't look at me. He didn't look at Ivy. He didn't look at Austin, who had moved a half step to the right like the floor had shifted. He let the clip run. He let the timestamp blink. 3002, 3002, 35, 3009. Ivy reached up toward the windows and smoothed the edge of a curtain with the same hand she used to tie our daughter's shoes that morning. When the video ended, Matt said, still pleasant, we care about security in a vacation home because our families sleep here. There's a lockbox system for a reason. If others have access, we will rekey, refob, reteach. But before we do, we wanted to be clear about what happened here, at this hour, in this room. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small Ziploc bag with 3 fobs inside. He set it on the counter. These should live with us, he said. Going forward, they will. Someone coughed. The room remembered it was a room. People looked away, at floors, at their own shoes, at the baby, at the view. Ivy's face broke in a way I wouldn't have understood a year ago. Not shame, not yet. Shock, like a deer realizing the silhouette isn't a tree. She looked at me. I didn't look away, and I didn't look at Austin. I let her see my life behind my eyes, the hiking boots by our door, the lunch boxes, the little hand that reaches for mine when we cross the street, the way dawn smells when you've earned it with sleep. Don't, she whispered. I couldn't tell if she meant don't leave or don't speak or don't be a man who turns away. I took the fob from my pocket and put it on the counter next to the bag. It made a tiny sound that felt huge. Then I walked out. No dramatic line, no speech to the room. I'm not a movie. I'm a man who sets up cones when a branch falls across the roadway and lets people go around. I drove home on autopilot. The ridgelines blurred. A hawk cut the sky like it owned it, and I wanted to hate it for not carrying a burden. At the house, I set water on to boil. The routine steadied me. Kettle on, 2 mugs. Rin likes honey in her tea, and the honey had sugared. I warmed the jar in the hot water until it cleared. When her bus dropped her at the bottom of the hill, I was there. She ran up the gravel and into my hip, and her backpack knocked against my thigh. Tea? She asked, like we'd been planning tea since morning, which we had. In the old way, we do nothing special. Tea, I said, and poured it like it was a ceremony you do when you join a new life. Ivy came in half an hour later, hollow-eyed. She stood at our window and looked out over the trees as if sunrise might change its mind and come back and give her another go. Mason, she said. I didn't make her swim through a silence. We need to talk about a lawyer, I said, and about Wren's mornings, and about keys, not just the fobs, the ones that make a house, not a room. She flinched, like the word lawyer had teeth. It wasn't? She started, then stopped. I don't even know what it was. You do, I said, not unkind. You just don't like the word it gives you back. She turned from the window, leaned against the frame with her head in her hands. Are you going to hate me forever? She asked. I don't have that kind of time, I said. I have a little girl who wants honey in her tea and a trail section that needs clean drain dips before the next storm. I have a life. It includes you only if you learn how to tell the truth when it's still small. She looked at the floor. I was tired of staging rooms that weren't mine, she said. Austin made it feel like we were building something even when we were just pretending to. He says the cabins don't care who sits in them at 3 a.m. I wanted to be the woman who could look at glass and make a morning happen, in the dark, without permission. I don't know when wanting turned into this. That's how erosion looks, I said. You don't see the creek move a rock in one night. You look up and the bank is gone. Do you love me? She asked suddenly, like a child testing a floorboard. I love our daughter, I said. I love the man I am with her. I love living in a place where the light makes liars confess. I don't love rooms that ask for fobs under rocks. I don't love a version of you that lies with pretty words. She nodded hard, as if the motion might keep her from breaking right there. Okay, she said, very small. Okay. We went to a mediator and a strip mall office with an aloe plant that had seen some things. We set calendars on a table. We talked about Rin's bedtime and her soccer practice and whether Tuesday nights were better for piano or for nothing at all. Ivy sat with her hands in her lap like she was practicing being a quiet person. When the mediator asked what we wanted most, I said that she never has to wonder which house has her toothbrush, and Ivy said that she never thinks she is the reason adults act like this. I gave the owners my statement for their file. I did not put adjectives in it. I did not put hurt in it. I put dates and times and clips and a fob and a line that said the contractor carried over access from older projects. We recommend reissuing entry protocols. They told me they would, and they did. Austin texted once. We could have kept this calm, he wrote. We did, I wrote back. You just wanted quiet. There is a difference. The sheriff's office asked a question or two about access and consent. It did not turn into handcuffs. Sometimes consequences look like lost contracts and a reputation moving to a town one ridge over. That is its own kind of justice in small mountains where the same people make your coffee and your doors. The next time I saw Ivy with Sunrise, she was on the other side of town, on a job where the owners stayed up late to meet her and thanked her for the way she made their couch look like a morning good news might actually find you. She held her clipboard like a raft. She didn't ask me to stay. I stood on the porch and looked out past the glass and thought, not for the first time, how light will make you honest, whether you want it to or not. There are days I ache for the life where the worst thing we fought about was whose turn it was to change the oil. There are more days when I feel clean. I show up for Ren.